We are back. My shoes are off. This is a classic Uncle Mickey video.
Yeah, this is classic.
We're going back to our roots. This is as close to like regressing as we're gonna get. That's not true. We can regress. We can
go lower.
We can go lower.
Go lower.
I'm here. We can go lower.
But today genuinely is
It's a very special day.
the most special review I think we're gonna release all year.
Definitely one of our most anticipated movies of the year.
The last couple decades, we've been waiting for this movie for years.
The first like concept trailer was 2019. It came out. I was in disbelief that we were actually in the theater watching it.
It was
surreal.
euphoric, dude.
It was awesome in the most like traditional sense of the word.
Should we name drop what we watched, dude? Because we haven't yet.
I don't feel privileged enough to say it.
I'll say it. We watched Tommy Wiseau's Big Shark 2023, and it was a masterpiece.
It was goddamn beautiful.
It was unreal to watch.
You can throw John Wick Chapter 4 in the trash.
To Kevin's point of it, like, oh, we don't know whether it was coming out or not, and then it finally just did randomly,
Like, concept trailer was 2019.
which I think they shot that for, like, to shop it around.
Yeah, no, it was not like a trailer for a movie that they had made. It was just to
They
shop it
shot
around.
the trailer first.
And then a couple years later in 2021, they're like, hey, so where's the movie? And Greg Sestero was like, oh, it's not. We're not gonna make it. And then like the next year, Tommy Wiseau was like, so movie is done. We release next year.
I think it's because Tommy Wiseau just filmed it in a week, and he was like, oh, it's done.
I guess we'll go straight into thoughts going in. I'll start us. We'll start on this side of the...
Classic side. We're going to our roots.
We're going to our roots. Yeah, Tommy Wiseau and The Room are almost foundational to this enterprise.
Foundational to this group.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like the Uncle Mickey thing, The Room was one of those things that was like early bonding thing for the three of us where we all had similar kind of like tastes in movies, but the three of us loved way more than any of the people around us.
It's also like humor-wise a very like, I'd say like top 5 like foundational movies that just kind of shape how we like think.
If Uncle Mickey had a top 10
funny
of all time instead of just of the year, The Room would be on there.
We have this Room poster back here. I got this in 2015.
We all got one.
When we met Tommy Wiseau. So that poster that's been in like literally every single one of our videos, LA Comic-Con was called Kamikaze. And it was
Just
kind of...
before Stan Lee died and they took it from him.
Yeah, it was Stan Lee's
They took it out of
Kamikaze.
his cold, dead hands, dude.
You won't change the name.
At the time, it was just kind of like a small convention that no one famous went to.
Just Lou Ferrigno.
The guy that played Bishop from Aliens,
Which he would actively ignore.
he actively ignored Kevin the one time we went. Remember when we went? Kevin went to get an autograph by him and he said, I'm closed. And then Kevin was like, oh, well, nice to meet you anyways, and then walked away. And then two attractive women walked up and he's like, oh, I'm open. You want me to sign anything you want? And he just starts talking to them for like 30 minutes.
30 minutes.
Watching him do it too. And Kevin's just sitting there just like, he wouldn't sign my, but
He walked away.
We used to go to this convention on a yearly basis, and the biggest reason is that it wasn't that big at the time. Their lines were pretty small. They had some famous people because it was
Tickets
in
were cheap.
Los Angeles. The tickets were cheap. And then in 2014, I remember you and I were there, and we passed a dude holding the Room poster. And this was our second or
Signed
third year
Room poster.
in a row going, and we were like, where did you
sir.
get that? Where did you get that? And he was like, dude, can you believe it? Tommy Wiseau is in the building. He's just standing there. He's just signing shit.
he didn't have a booth.
Well, he had a booth. Our theory was illegally because he's not on the thing at all. He's not on the directory.
This is before the Disaster Artist. There was no line.
Oh yeah, nobody, like The Room is like a bigger thing now. It was way underground before. Like people knew, like lots of nerds like us knew, but
it was almost famous. Almost.
But it wasn't as big of a thing as it became.
yes.
So we went up to him. We talked to him for like 20 or 30 minutes. We ended up going to a screening of The Room that they held there, and that was a lot of fun, like going to see a screening of The Room with a group of people that are all like in on the joke and like doing all the bits that you do.
It was like a revelation to us. These people are just screaming at the movie and saying things like ritualistic things, and we're like, rituals are kind of cool.
Rituals are very
Rituals
cool.
are very cool.
We continued to come back, and
I finally got to go.
Sam Slade got
Yeah,
to
and then
go.
the next year we're like, dude, you gotta go. You
And
gotta go.
we spent like 20 or 30 minutes.
Yeah, because he was not, like, Tommy Wiseau's not doing anything. Like,
Just
nobody's
chatting
going up
with
to him because nobody knows who he is. only a few people there know who he is. And yeah, we just would hang out with him and just talk to him and Raul.
And they would just walk up. They would walk up. Is this the Dark Horse Comics booth? No, get out of here.
You bastard, get out of here. I am the room.
What a story, Mark.
Some of my favorite memories ever at any type of convention. Since then, we've held dozens of room parties. I love watching.
We used to do it yearly.
Genuinely, and I'm not bullshitting, it is one of my genuine favorite comedies of all time.
Genuine favorite movies of all.
Genuine favorite movies of all time. It brings me joy every time I watch it. It is a masterpiece. And so going into Big Shark, it had a lot to live up to because in that time, much like we've talked about with Neil Breen, Tommy Wiseau is clearly aware of the reason people like The Room.
He's in on it now.
He's in on it now. And he definitely plays it up a little bit. You see Tommy Wiseau, and he leans into it.
We've heard some industry stories about him leaning out of it and people being like, oh, he's actually kind of normal if he's you can switch that off.
If he's not around
We don't know how true this
We don't know how true it is.
We have talked to people that have worked with him on a professional level, and they've kind of been like, yeah, he really does ham it up for like his fans and stuff, which I wouldn't be terribly surprised, but again, you know, I don't know how accurate that was.
He's like not changed since the time that we've seen him. Like, and I don't know how you fake that. Like how he is. I don't know how
he's just been in character the entire time.
Maybe he cools it a little bit when he's like in a professional setting, but I think he is genuinely a weirdo freak.
He's a little bit of a rock star. Yeah, he dresses like a rock star.
I mean, he's not releasing his movie. He's touring it, and he has all his merch there. Like it's like he's going on like a concert tour.
So going into Big Shark, I was like really worried that it would just not be good. You know, being such a big fan of The Room, being very worried that the magic would be lost along the way.
I was definitely a concern for me too. And part of it was that he has not made a movie in 20 actual years.
He's been in stuff.
He's been in stuff, but he's not directed.
He has not
a movie.
made a movie. Since being a fan of The Room, we've attached ourselves very, very deeply to Neil Breen, who releases a movie every few years.
Every couple of years.
And so it's like you just keep getting new Neil Breen movies, and they're just new fantastic movies that you can just eat up and love. And Tommy Wiseau has the one. You know, he did the one, and that was it. And so it's kind of a.
And yeah, he shows up in other things, but it's not the same thing because he's not directing.
Yeah, it's not the same thing. It's not a Tommy Wiseau film. It's kind of weird to hold him on that same pedestal after a while. And you're like, well, like, no offense, Tommy Wiseau, but what have you done for me lately? And so it kind of just, it's hard not to think that way when you're comparing him to other people that are like him. These auteurs.
Tommy Wiseau is an auteur. He might be the only one.
He is the only one. He waited 20 years to make his second film. That
People
is
talk
dedication.
about auteur theory and if that's a real thing that can be actually achieved. I think Tommy Wiseau did it completely on accident with this film.
And so going into Big Shark, I was just hoping desperately that it would be like that. Like he would be able to recreate the same kind of thing he was able to do with The Room.
Or at least make something from the heart. Like, not just to have it be a soulless cash grab.
Yes.
And like, you know, regardless of the quality.
Like, try.
Make the movie he wants to make.
Because part of what makes The Room so great is the effort.
Yeah.
Is like how much he really wanted it to work.
It's a big swing.
It's a big swing. And Big Shark definitely went for that big swing.
Well, I knew of The Room long before I met you guys.
Well, Keegan is an old man, so he was there at the antithesis of it.
Well, yeah, you were 30 when it came out.
So I had seen it before, liked it a lot. And going into Big Shark, my biggest concern was commercialization, which you guys kind of touched on too, where it's like, is he actually funding it himself? Is he doing it because he wants a paycheck? Is he doing it because he's trying to make something that he's envisioning? Self-produced movies, dude. When a director makes a movie that they're envisioning, it's an entirely different world. So going into Big Shark, I went in completely blind, which is my favorite way to go into these types of movies.
You only knew the title.
I only knew the title. I didn't even know if it was actually about a legitimate shark until I asked you guys. I didn't know if that was a metaphor.
Watching the movie, I didn't know if it was going to be a real shark or not.
Same.
Because the shark doesn't show up for a while. And I was like, is the shark even going to show up in this movie?
That
Is it
would have
even
been
about a
funny
shark?
if it was just about a man who was
A firefighter?
a man who was a firefighter that had a troubled brain. What did they keep saying?
A delusional mind.
You have a delusional mind. Yeah, it's just about a man who thinks that he's a firefighter with a delusional mind.
It's a big theme that in the movie that is just not handled very well, because I think that is something that Tommy Wiseau is trying to tackle.
Let's not get into the movie itself. We're still talking about what our thoughts going in. So
It's a deep analysis of Big Shark.
That's a video.
I care more to analyze this movie than any movie we've reviewed on our channel.
I had concerns going in, but when we rolled up to the door and Tommy Wiseau was standing there, And then like hearing him talk to the people as he's signing their stuff, I'm like, oh, this is not going to be a commercial movie. I'm listening to the words coming out of Tommy Wiseau's mouth. He does not care about being commercially successful with this movie.
I don't like you like the others, so I'm not betting you.
So once I saw Tommy and saw him signing the autograph and him just selling his underwear merch.
That's where the real money is, dude, for Tommy.
I know.
At the premiere of Big Shark, I'm like, he's signing people's underwear. Rosenberg had underwear get autographed by Tommy Wiseau.
Yeah. He's always doing that.
He's always doing that.
That's a classic Tommy Wiseau move, dude.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I knew it was gonna be real.
To echo what they were saying, where I was very worried going into this one because I think ever since The Neighbors, I've been pretty skeptical on Tommy Wiseau. I'm just like, man, we're never gonna get The Room again.
The Neighbors tried too hard.
We're never gonna get that again because he's unzipped. You know, like he knows that the success of The Room is because people are laughing at it and it's so weird and quirky and all. Like the fact that they failed in such a weird way is the reason people like it, and the fact that Tommy Wiseau knows that now, he's just gonna lean into that forever. And that's kind of how I felt about Tommy Wiseau for like the past however many years. So going into Big Shark, I was hopeful because the trailer was really funny, and I'm like, well, he hasn't directed a movie in forever. My hopes were pretty low though. I was like, oh, it'll probably be funny.
Yeah.
But it's never gonna capture the same like
The magic lightning in a bottle.
But Tommy Wiseau has been affected by his own work immediately. Like the crowd that he has drawn has affected.
I also think that crowds are different now. Like there's an appreciation for the Neil Breens of the world.
Well, it's becoming more popular. Like
It's less malicious.
Where I think when The Room first came out, people laughed Tommy out of the theater and they thought he was a loser. Now people are laughing with him and he's their hero. You know, you go to at the Big Shark screening, he's a legit celebrity.
People were cheering him on.
Yes.
Him just rambling.
like I was really excited just because like when Tommy finally came out and I saw him emerge from wherever he was,
The heavens.
I was like this is just gonna be another Tommy experience, whether I like the movie or not.
I decided to get a Big Shark poster because I was like, I don't know how it's going to be. You know, I was there to support Tommy. I wasn't sure about how the movie was going to turn out, and so I was like, I'm going to buy one just to get it. I am so fucking glad I did because Big Shark kicks ass. Tommy is back, baby. Fucking did it! He shoved Neil Breen in a trash can.
Yeah, well, we made jokes because Neil Breen's coming out with the movie very soon.
It is the summer of the Masters, dude.
It is the summer of the Masters, dude. It's Tommy Wiseau, Neil Breen,
Christopher Nolan.
Christopher Nolan, all the
Auteur
greats,
via auteur.
all the best.
Yeah, Uncle Mickey's Summer of the Masters 2023.
The summer of the Yacht.
Tommy Wiseau legit put his dukes up and he's like, I'll fight Oppenheimer. I don't give a crap.
Yeah, and he won. I haven't even seen Oppenheimer. Tommy won.
You asked last night when we drove home, like, how do you think it's gonna compare to Neil Breen's new movie?
Yeah.
I was like, if you would have asked me before, I was like, oh, Neil Breen's gonna stomp his ass.
Yeah.
Like, Tommy Wiseau, he's a has-been. Like, he's an old washed-up
He's old
boxer.
hat.
He
Get
hasn't
him
won a
outta
fight
here.
in 20 years, no way. And then
He hasn't made a good movie in 20 years.
he showed up, took his shirt off, and showed his
His rippling 79-year-old abs.
68 or whatever year old body, and just started pounding at all of his enemies. Oppenheimer was just bleeding out on the floor.
I love the movie, genuinely.
I think all of us love the movie.
About
I love it.
5 minutes, I knew that I was in for a good time because I was laughing with it, like or at it,
That's the best part, is you're laughing with it and at it.
and at it at the same time.
There's genuinely good comedy and there's a bunch of unintentional comedy.
There's a thing in the beginning where, like Keegan pointed out, there's a news anchor and she's talking. She's standing in front of a burning house and she's like, "I'm with Channel 4 News," she says
She's Channel 2, and that's what her microphone says too.
and her microphone says Channel 2, and then in the corner it says Channel 4.
And that's literally like the opening shot. That's the first shot.
And Keegan pointed that out, and I was like, "What the? How did this is the beginning of the movie?"
Did nobody notice that? Like when editing it?
I don't know.
The number 2 is too expensive. Keep 4.
It opens up, it introduces us to our main characters. Patrick, played by Tommy Wiseau, Tim, played by some guy, and Georgie, played by some other guy.
They play the greatest firefighters of all time.
They play firefighters that are so good at fighting fires, so the first scene is them putting out a fire, the second scene is them winning awards for putting out the fire.
Yeah.
For saving children.
For saving 2
They literally
children.
are standing in a movie theater like it's the fucking Oscars or something.
Yeah, and they're all dressed like magicians.
They're dressed as cowboys, dude.
No,
supposed to be
they are dressed
cowboys.
as magicians.
Something-
Tommy Wiseau was wearing a top hat and gloves.
The whole,
In a
the whole
bow
time
tie.
I was watching like that whole scene, I kept like looking around at other people like in confusion. I was like,
It's a perfect tone setter.
I'm like, do firemen not save children? Does that not happen? Is this the first time ever?
Well, it's because they had to hold up the wall, dude. And Georgie got hurt holding up the wall,
Yeah,
dude.
I thought Georgie was gonna die in the first scene.
I thought so too, because they were like, oh, Georgie, they got him out of there, and then they were like, Georgie's fine, he'll fully recover. And it's like, that was 2 minutes ago, how do you know? He got crushed by bricks.
Pretty impressive scene, actually. A little bit of stock footage mixed
Yeah.
with some actually fairly solid lighting and
And there was real fire.
I'm really curious what cameras they used, because whatever they had extremely good low light.
I would love to know that as well. So fun fact, I actually love how this movie looks. It is shot very on location.
Very handheld.
In the Q&A, I even asked Tommy Wiseau this question, just like, what was your thought process going into this movie? And I think that having Hollywood connections from doing, you know, not just The Disaster Artist, but the other bigger projects that he's worked on since, you can kind of tell that he's probably working some of these connections that he's made, because the movie actually looks pretty decent.
There's some really striking.
There's plenty of bad shots for sure.
There are bad shots. There are some shots that are like comedic masterpiece level shots. Where
Yes.
you could not have planned this out any
That
more
shot
perfect.
of his girlfriend throwing his clothes out the window, it's just a really nice wide shot of this house. She's up on the top.
Who's up on the house?
Sophia.
How could you forget?
Sophia.
Tommy Wiseau,
Sophia.
as always, is married to a hot young babe.
She's gotta check all the boxes.
Gotta check all the boxes.
Otherwise, why would Patrick date her? He's the best firefighter of all time.
I want to lay out the character. He's the best firefighter. He fights fires by night and drinks by night.
Drinks by his whole life.
There's never a scene where he's not
Never a
realistically
scene where they're
drinking.
not drinking
He drinks by day, firefights by night, and drinks at night.
and then drinks more at night.
They're such good firefighters that I think they put out all the fires within the first 30 minutes. Like all fires in existence. Like we'll never get another fire.
So going back to the shot Sam Slate's talking about. So Tommy Wiseau has a girlfriend.
She doesn't want Tommy Wiseau to keep going out and doing his dangerous work.
She wants him to be there with her.
But he's the best goddamn firefighter in the world.
She gets so mad that he's leaving to go fight
Kill a
this
big
shark.
That he was right about.
She starts throwing all of his clothes out of the,
And saying he's never allowed back.
saying you're never allowed back.
This is a dramatic scene.
The wide, the wide shot is so masterful. It is just this low angle looking up from basically across the street, looking up at the balcony, and Tommy's right there with
All of his clothes being thrown at him. They're,
just,
getting caught on wires.
with his it's getting caught on wires with his best friend Tim right there next to him. Both of them are holding White Claws. It's 10 in the morning.
Yeah, they just woke up.
Keegan, just so we can get it out of the way, lay out the plot of Big Shark.
Keegan is master of plot.
Okay.
Master of plot.
So the plot of Big Shark, they are the best firefighters. They are award-winning firefighters. Tommy Wiseau, while fishing with his girlfriend, sees a big shark, which is never shown on camera at this point.
And it sounds like he's joking about it at
And
first.
it sounds like he's joking, and he is physically rocking the boat, saying that the big shark hit it. And you are watching him physically move the boat.
And his girlfriend says that he's deranged in the brain or
He has a delusional mind.
And he gets pissed when she doesn't believe him.
He gets so angry.
And what's so genius about this scene is that the audience doesn't see the shark either. That is a choice.
Yeah.
And so you have no idea.
You know why? Because they were using the same shot of that CGI shark every time. Why wouldn't they throw it in there? Because Tommy Wiseau said, no, the audience has to question him
Tommy
too.
could have a delusional mind.
Yes.
He could have a delusional mind.
It is a question that the audience was asking. We were legitimately asking.
I thought Tommy's character was supposed to be joking until he continued to talk about it for 45 minutes.
So after that scene that Keegan just described, and I'm sorry, master of plot, let me just continue just for a little bit. The next 20 minutes is Tommy Wiseau arguing with his friends about it.
And all of them saying
All different locations.
There is no and they're drinking the entire time.
It's so good. They are so drunk the whole time, and it's just them going from location to location to location, and Tommy keeps bringing up the shark, and they're like, stop bringing up the shark.
They're like in a different park, and so it cuts.
And they're having a great time.
They'll be walking down the street, and that's part of what's so fun about this movie is you can tell they all had a blast shooting.
Well, I was gonna say this is very important to the plot. Actually, Tommy Wiseau specifically mentioned that New Orleans has an open container law.
Container
and
law,
it is
very important to the plot.
And it's everyone loves that about New Orleans.
Because every scene they are drinking in public with an open container. Anyway, so he spends the next 45 minutes arguing with his friend, saying that he saw a 35-foot long shark in the Mississippi River, and then at lunch Tim's at lunch with a friend who's a boxer.
Raul.
That's the actual guy's name.
Shout out to our boy Raul if you're watching this. We love you, dude.
He's talking about, I was in a boxing match and then a fucking shark came and ate the other boxer.
That's the first time you see
It's the first time you see the shark. If we can find
Even
clips
then,
of this.
you don't know if it's real.
Boxer has gotten eaten by a fucking shark, we find out. And then there's just a shark that goes across the streets of New Orleans eating people. And it is a big shark.
And then it goes on the news, and then it's like, hey, everybody, watch out for this shark, please.
Please don't go outside. And then everyone continues to go outside the entire movie.
Yeah. Well, no one seems to be that afraid of the shark.
And the only solution is they have to rely on the 3 best firefighters in the city of New Orleans to fight the shark because the feds can't come.
Yeah, because Captain Joe said that they're the only ones that can do it.
And then the rest of the movie is them doing other things while talking about hunting the shark.
Yep, they go around not doing the plot for several scenes.
You've described the plot now. Like the firefighters are the only hope in the city. Captain Joe said so. He said the feds are not showing up.
Yeah, general thoughts. We all fucking loved it and we think that you should go see it. Kevin, what are your thoughts?
Go see it, it's a perfect film, 8 out of 10.
I have no idea where you can find it because it's not being shown everywhere, but it's fantastic.
If it's playing in a theater near you, go see it. If you can't do that, wait till it drops on a streaming service or Blu-ray.
It is amazing.
If you are a fan of The Room or any of
You will genuinely not get an experience like this movie anywhere else.
and seeing it in a theater with Tommy, it's genuinely an experience.
Like my overall point with this movie is that Tommy Wiseau accidentally made a perfect art house movie.
Yes.
People like the Safdie brothers, whoever made that movie blow up. I don't know the director, but I was thinking about that movie. Really like irreverent art house movies where like it's very method. You know?
Yeah, it's very method.
The people making the movie are not making the movie. It's the characters that are driving this, and we're merely the vessel to tell the story. Directors will just try so hard for that exact feeling that you're trying to get out of it, and Tommy Wiseau did it without trying.
All he did was get shit.
All he did was get shit-faced, and he made a movie that is so unique, so special, so funny, and so interestingly acted, and very, like, I would say directionless, but that's the whole direction of it.
The fact that it's directionless is what makes it have a direction.
Yeah, and it's magical, dude.
See the film.
It is great.
It is the perfect depiction of what it feels like to be shit-faced.
Yes.
Things are just happening. People are saying things.
You're getting in fights. You're arguing about whether or not you know the plan or he knows the plan.
You don't know why your girlfriend's mad at you.
The person editing, the writers, all the actors, everyone's drunk.
To me, this shot sums up the entire movie. It is the shot looking down at Tommy Wiseau, Patrick, and Tim, and Tommy Wiseau is arguing with his girlfriend, sloshing around a White Claw in his hand at 10 in the morning.
He just woke up in the previous scene.
And they also just agreed that they need to save New Orleans from a big shark. And this is what's so great about it, is they don't call attention to, okay, well, let's first get a drink. They're just both holding
They just have them.
in the scene. It's so fucking good. I wish we were that funny. We are not.
We're not. Please watch the movie. And now you have seen the movie. If you're in the spoiler section, please don't watch this part because we're going to be spoiling some of the best jokes in the movie.
If you're watching this, you've already seen it.
We have to. How have we not discussed the plan yet? Because the plan.
We're gonna follow the plan.
I want to.
We can't tell George about the plan though.
You got to be master of plot. I want to be master of the plans. This is gonna be the most jumbled fucking review of all time. But
So is the movie. So is the movie. So is the movie.
Tommy gets in an argument with his girlfriend. She's like, you keep doing dangerous stuff, Tommy. You can't go fight that big shark. And then Tommy says, I have to.
People are dying.
People are dying. And she's like, okay, you have to be back by 10 p.m. Tommy is gone for 3 fucking full days, day, night. You see
Day, night. He's still out.
Oh, you didn't mention. She threatened at 10:01. I am changing the locks of the house.
That's what she
that
said.
never gets brought up again.
She comes back 50 minutes later, and they're just like, just hanging out. They're just drinking, and they're just like, oh, yeah, everything's...
The shark is still at large.
The shark is still at large.
Patrick and Tim, they decide that they're gonna go hunt the shark. This is before the mayor even talks to them. They just decide they have to go find this big
Well, because nobody's acting fast enough.
Yes, nobody's acting fast.
And they're heroes. They're cowboys.
And then they start talking about a plan. We don't hear what the plan is, but they just start talking about having a plan.
They keep screaming it.
They keep saying
They keep going back and forth between having a plan and saying we need to have a plan. And it's like, are they saying they need a plan or that they have a plan and they're doing the plan?
I don't know.
Then they go diving.
As they're running down the hill to dive, they're screaming, "We're following the plan. We're following the plan."
Fuck yeah, I love the plan.
Let's dive.
They are drunk off their asses.
They're drunk off their asses.
Real life.
Real life, but in character too. Like it is not. They're not trying to hide it. They're like, no.
They are drinking.
They are drinking for free.
Yeah, they decide that they need to go scuba dive to do something. I have no idea.
They're looking for the shark.
The first time they go, sure, maybe. I don't fucking
The
know.
first time they are looking for the shark, diving in a random location.
This is why he's master of plot, dude. I would have never known.
Well, that's why I master plan, because they don't have a plan at this point. He can correct me. What happens first?
Then Georgie starts reassuring the public that they have a plan and it will save them.
Oh right, we cut to Georgie being like, "We have a plan."
And then they immediately. Yeah.
Slammed. And he's standing in front of this crowd of people like, don't worry, everybody, we got planned. We're gonna stop Big Shark. Everybody, Tom, and then Patrick and Tim roll up and they're like, let's go, Georgie. We have to go fight the Big Shark. And he's like, fucking my girlfriend's a fucking bitch.
This is after they pick up a random stranger. I was like, please, I'm running from the shark. I really need a ride.
The kid's freaking out because a shark is chasing after them.
And they're like, all right, whatever, get in.
Get in the car and they
Yeah, hero.
The best part of this movie is that these two heroes, the greatest heroes that they have to all rely on, they are just plastered. Yes. And this kid is like, you need to save me. And they're like, what? We're going to save you. Stop crying. Stop crying. We're going to save you.
We're going to save you. You're making it worse by shooting it. Stop doing that. Drop this kid off at his house. And they're like, oh, go get inside.
And he's like, genuinely, thank you. You saved my life. I would be dead now without you. And they're like, whatever, get out of my car.
And if you ever need anything, you now know where I live.
And then Tommy just goes, what a loser.
Was it just genuinely a good joke?
Our theater was howling.
Favorite joke, we skip past it plot-wise. So Tommy Wiseau wakes up in a drunken stupor. Actually, the scene's even more genius than that. It just starts with Tim watching the news.
And he's shocked. He's like, oh my gosh, it's true. There is a big shark.
And then it reveals that Tommy Wiseau is asleep. Like
he was there at the TV, like
there the whole time.
Like asleep, drunkenly asleep. Like he just drank so much that he's passed out from the last night.
He wakes up and he's like,
he notices the TV.
I told you.
It's the best acting he's ever done.
That timing was so perfect.
Perfect timing. It was perfectly delivered. It's just the best joke in the movie.
It's great.
I was in tears laughing.
It's such a good joke because he spends so much of the movie trying to convince his friends that it's a real thing.
Yes.
And then once it finally is, he's just such a bitch about it. He's just like, I told you.
I told you.
Heroes don't do that.
The movie just goes along and Georgie dies. He's eaten by the shark, which becomes the single most dramatic thing in any movie that's ever been released.
I'm convinced that scene was shot over the course of a month.
Hereditary has nothing on the morning of Georgie. They cry about it for fucking the rest of the movie.
And then they sing a song.
I wanted to bring up the song.
They sing the song.
Don't cry.
They sing that song?
Heroes don't die. They just sparkle in the sky. So I won't cry.
They sang that for like 3 minutes straight, and it's an uncut shot.
It's an uncut shot, and then right when you think they're gonna stop, Tommy Wiseau's,
Let's do it again for Georgie!
And by the way, the entire audience starts singing along after the first rendition.
After the first verse.
What's funny is Tommy, when he did his opening to the movie, like when he came up on mic and was like, I hope you like the movie, whatever. He says, do whatever you want, laugh, cry, sing if you want to. And I thought, that was funny. That's weird. Why would he say that? And then it's like, oh, because there's a part where you sing.
Two sing-along parts.
Turns out that that's just a drunk trait of Tommy Wiseau, is that when he gets drunk, he likes to sing whatever he's thinking.
One thing I want to talk about is the hero of the movie, the unspoken hero, which is Tim.
Savior of lines.
Savior of scenes, so they have direction.
Reason the movie makes fucking sense.
Sense a little bit. Something that is very clear, at a certain point watching it, you'll be watching it as an audience member, you're like, these scenes are really weird. What you realize is that everyone is trying to follow the script, and Tommy doesn't give a crap. And he is not trying to follow the script. He's like, I wrote it, I don't need to memorize my lines, and he didn't, and he's drunk. And so he's saying whatever he wants in every scene.
Possibly an evolution because in his, in The Room, infamously, he was terrible at memory.
I think he just leans into it. He's just like, I don't care if I remember my line.
Whatever, I'll say whatever I want.
A lot of the movie felt like it was improvised, and there's a couple points where you can tell that they're reusing takes.
His argument with his friends, they have two different takes of it.
They have two different, where it's just like they're saying the exact same lines, and it's like they just use different takes to pad out the scene, but it feels very repetitive in a very artistic way.
It feels like a fever dream.
Well, that's why it's a perfect movie to depict what being drunk feels like, because you will just say the same thing over and over again.
You're just like, are we still here?
Yeah, are we still here? Wait, we're here now?
You'll go talk to somebody else about something else, and then you'll go back. All right, so anyway, we talked about that 2 hours ago.
A ghost gave them a map.
A ghost gave him a map.
A very clear map with a red star on it that's like, and he says, this is where the shark is. And then they bring the map to Tommy, and Tommy's like, how are you possibly supposed to read this? Where's the shark on this map? And the guy's like, I have no idea. That guy was crazy. And they just ignore the map, and then they're like, we gotta put a tracker on him, dude.
He could be anywhere around here. He can go. You're saying he can go anywhere around here. That makes perfect sense. And I was like, that's every line with them two.
Saved so many scenes.
It's like the pig. You kill the pig with a shark. You're saying put the dynamite in the pig, and the shark eats the pig, and that's how we blow it up.
Genius, Tom.
Yeah.
Yeah, what the guy that played Tim did masterfully is understood all the things that Tommy Wiseau was.
He's going off the script, and
Yes.
Tommy is not. And also, just without any I didn't sense any anger. Like, oh, I
Cass was
hate
having
this.
such a good time.
The guy that played Tim was just like, whatever. Like, he's a terrible scene partner, but I'm gonna make this movie work.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna make this movie work, or I will die trying.
Tommy would not say his lines, and then he would have to say his lines for him. Like, I think the perfect example for that is then that scene we keep talking about where his girlfriend's mad at him throwing his clothes out. Tim turns to him, he's like, hey, Tommy, who's the king of the house? Who's the king of the house? And he's like trying to get him to say something, and he's like, well, she is.
She is.
The scene was probably supposed to be, he says that.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, thank you, because she immediately turns after that. She's like, oh, that's so sweet. It's way less sweet when your friend's like, hey, who's the king of the house? Say the line.
She is.
I have a plot question. I think this is open-ended. How long does it take Patrick and Tim to kill the big shark?
I think it's been 3 months.
Because the reason are you asking when the big shark is revealed to when they finally kill it?
Yes.
It's indeterminable.
The reason I thought about it is because when Georgie dies, they come back and there's a memorial thing set up at the location that he died, and there's like candles and shit.
It's gotta be at least a day until that happens.
The way it's edited is it almost seems like it's the same night or like
Same night. That's what it looks like, because it never goes to day and night again. It's just another night scene, and they're like, all right, so we're gonna go kill this shark now, but first we have to say bye to Georgie
Again.
This is where they hit a home run. The cinematographer was not drunk.
That man was working.
There's no credits at the end of the movie, so it's like fucking Apocalypse Now.
I know. It's awesome. You know why? Because this movie's art.
It's just title. It says Big Shark.
It is the greatest film since Apocalypse.
That cinematographer should win an Oscar.
He somehow kept all those drunk assholes in frame the
Yes.
whole movie.
At least in all the shots we used.
No matter what they were doing.
Really shallow depth of field, walking through, the street.
I know.
Yeah, shooting on location really helped add, even like the VFX shots, when it's a stupid CGI shark, you're like, man, this looks really good.
Well, because everything else is real.
Like, they don't really use the same set more than...
Almost every scene's in a different location.
As we're going through, we kept making theories, trying to make the movie make sense.
What is this movie about, really?
It's about a big shark, dude.
The movie was edited non-linearly. That was my first theory.
This cannot be happening after the scene we just saw. This is not possible.
It's not possible.
Because they literally just got out of the water saying, we're gonna kill the big shark, we got a tracker on him, and now they're at a bar.
Yes, having just a good time.
like immediately.
This cannot take place, but then the scene would prove that it was taking place after that. Can you remember when Georgie died just now?
One of the theories I had earlier was that the shark wasn't a real actual shark, that it was like a manifestation of people's psyche or something.
You thought it was connected to Tommy's mood.
Because there's a scene where they're like, Tommy's like, I feel much better now. Oh, the shark is gone. And I'm like, is it like
that line was in the film.
Well, here's the thing. The reason why you're thinking that is because this movie is art, and the shark parallels Tommy himself. The shark is this uncontrollable force in the movie that is just wreaking havoc. You never know what it's gonna affect the movie. You never know when it's gonna show up, and you never know if it's gonna make the plot better or worse.
It's the big shark in the room that they
And
want.
so is Tommy in like his own movie. He's like, I don't give a crap. I am the big shark. This movie's not happening without me. I won't memorize a single line that I wrote.
Yes.
I'm going to be drunk the entire time, and I'm going to make the scene whatever it is that I want in the moment.
It just shows up and does what it wants to, and it immediately disappears.
He's not trying to fool anyone. Like with the first one, he was trying to with the room.
I think that's the perfect. Yeah, he's not trying to fool anyone.
He's not trying to fool anyone this time. With the room, it was I I'm trying to make a professional movie, and there was this expectation for everyone that was on set that it was a professional movie, and so there was room for disappointment. There's no room for disappointment when you know you're going into Tommy Wiseau's second movie. And it comes across on screen like genuinely when you're watching the people that are sharing the screen with Tommy, all of them are just having a blast, and it makes laughing with it that much more like enjoyable.
Yeah, because when you watch The Room, you're just like, all these people don't want to be there.
They're all suffering.
Pretty much all of these theories about what's happening in the movie are wrong.
Yeah, it's just about a big shark.
Well, hold on. The theories, even if a theory is not what is intended, does not mean it is wrong.
Oh, that's a good
Here's if it holds up, whether it's intended or not.
I want to watch this movie
If
right
the
now.
theory holds up.
I am so
Then it
bummed we
works.
don't have a Blu-ray. So my final thoughts are that I loved it, and I loved it because I enjoyed it, but I also loved it because I was just happy to see Tommy Wiseau making a new movie. It was genuinely a solid movie and a super solid like new Tommy Wiseau movie. If you like The Room, see it. 12 out of fucking 12 space eggs, baby. Perfect film.
We never do this.
We never do this.
We never give 12s.
The only thing I have to say, final thoughts wise, is Tim was flying through the air for about 2 minutes. That man went into the atmosphere when that bomb went off. When that dynamite blew up, that man went into space. Because he came down a solid 2 minutes later after, oh no, Tim!
Tim, where are you?
Where are you? Tim! Tim! And then like a whole minute and a half later, ah! That took so long. He was in the air that whole time. Yeah, it was a perfect movie. 8 out of 10.
It's a perfect movie. It's everything you want out of a bad movie. It feels good to laugh with and at it. You don't ever feel like you're making fun of someone. It feels like the movie knows that it is ridiculous, insane, and embraces it.
Space eggs.
12 out of 12.
Wow,
Wow.
that's really impressive.
And this is a good score so far.
So you gotta bring us home.
I love this movie. I don't know how it will be topped by anything I see this movie this year. I genuinely loved it. I think on like more levels than most movies can ever accomplish. Funny, genuinely.
Yes.
Also not genuinely funny. Like it's also like
Unintentionally.
It's shot terribly. It's shot great. It's written terribly. It's written great. It's acted terribly. It's acted great. It's like he genuinely somehow on accident made a great like piece of art. Like,
Yeah.
I keep saying it's art, and I say it as a joke, but it's also like.
It is an art piece.
You are not going to get an experience like Big Shark anywhere else.
Yeah.
And that's how you can tell when an artist is at work. Like you watch Goodfellas and you're like, you're not going to get that movie from someone else.
No.
You're not going to get Interstellar from someone else. Like this is an artist at work, and you're not going to get Big Shark from anyone else. 12 out of 12, easily.
Yeah.
Go see it.
It's
Go
a
see it.
perfect score. Go see it. Go-
Every screening you can possibly get your hands on. There were some people there that were there for their second time, and we wish we were them.
Dude, I would go again.
I'd go again. I'd go in a heartbeat.
Because you never know. We never know if we're going to be able to see this movie again.
Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed our review, we could have sat here for another 3 hours talking.
I was going to say, usually when we like a movie,
We don't talk about
we
it
don't
that
talk about it that long. This movie, I feel like I could talk about
Oh
for
my,
days.
well, because there's things to dissect about this film.
Stay tuned for our Uncle Mickey in-depth analysis.
Analysis when the Blu-ray comes out.
Well, we got to do our analysis after we watch it drunk.